If you're currently sitting on the couch wondering if it's even possible to go from zero fitness to finishing an Ironman in a year, then hopefully this is going to be the episode for you. I'm aiming to walk you through how to go from not having done anything to completing your first Ironman in a year, even if you've got no background in swimming and in biking and in running. Ironman used to be a thing that triathletes did after they'd been in the sport for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. It was the pinnacle of their training. I can remember really clearly when I started training for multisport events way back in the late 90s. One of the guys said to me, "You see that guy over there? He's done an Ironman." It was the peak and the pinnacle of the sport, and it was something that was assumed you need multiple years of training to do. And I'm seeing that shift. I'm having more phone calls from athletes who want to be coached, who are saying, "I've got no background in either swim or bike or run, in some cases in any of them. I've got this crazy dream to do an Ironman. Do you think you can help me?" We've worked with several of these people to this point and got them through their first Ironman in a year, and it's just been inspirational. And it's opened up, for us, I think, a whole new area of athletes who they haven't come from a swim, bike, run background, but they're absolutely taken with the idea of Ironman. They don't want to go through the traditional learn to run, bike, swim, do a sprint, do an Olympic, do a 70.3, do it over several years. They want the big experience all in 1 year. I want to be the person saying to people, "Do you know what? You've got big dreams. Let's go for it. Let's jump in and let's support you as much as we can." So first, if you've not heard or seen me before, my name's Coach Rob Wilby. I work for a triathlon coaching company called Team Oxygenaddict. I've been professionally coaching athletes for triathlon and Ironman for over 15 years. And in that time, we've coached close to 1,000 Iron men and women to their first Iron finish. We help real age groupers train around their real busy lives. We don't give people a dumbed down version of a pro's training plan. We build the training plan from the ground up, working in around the fact you've almost certainly got a job. You've very probably got a family, very probably got kids. You've got a real life around all of these other things, and Ironman training's got to fit in around it rather than the other way around. So again, when I started, I was told you need to be doing 20, 25 hours of training a week. We've seen lots of people complete their Ironman on a lot less than half of that training consistently. So I just don't think it's the case anymore. Before we really jump in though, if you are preparing for your first Ironman, there's a link in the show notes down below. I've got a free online training seminar. I think you'll get some taste of it today. It's 30 minutes of your time. I guarantee you'll massively increase your chances of success on Ironman race day. So click through, that's free to watch. There's a whole load more information in detail than I can go into today on this episode. So first up, who's this episode for and why is it possible? So I'm really talking to complete beginners today. I'm talking to people who maybe you've got some triathlon experience, maybe you've done a sprint, maybe you've been a runner or a biker or a swimmer, but you haven't done multi-sport yet. But also maybe you haven't got any of those backgrounds at all. Maybe you can't swim yet. Maybe you don't own a bike yet. Maybe you haven't been for a run yet. Now, for those of you who have got some triathlon experience, I'm going to say you can definitely complete your first Ironman within a year. For those of you who've never started yet, I'm going to say the same thing, but with a caveat. It might take you a little bit longer. I'd encourage a conversation. Again, there's a link in the show notes to book through to a call with us. If you're not sure, if you've really got no athletic background whatsoever, let's have a conversation and I can honestly give you some feedback on where I think you are and how long I think it might take you. But I'm going to say this, if you are relatively able-bodied, if you are not very overweight, if you've got some kind of sporting background in either swim or bike or run, I think you can do this in a year. So that's the people that I'm aiming this at. It's someone who's maybe seen an Ironman happening on TV or the internet, or maybe you've even seen it happening. You know, I spoke to a friend of a friend the other day. 70.3 Bolton was happening in their town, and they'd just been out shopping and they saw it happen and they were totally taken by it. And they went from never having heard of the event before to wanting to do this thing. So again, if that's you, great. Let's jump right in. There's some common doubts here, and the doubts tend to be, am I too old? Am I too busy? Am I too unfit? Am I too overweight? Now, all of those might be possibly true now, but in a year's time, they won't be true if you do something to change it. You're certainly not too old. I've worked with athletes up to the age of 80 to complete an Ironman. If you're unfit, we can do something about that. If you're overweight, we can do something about that. If you're really busy, well, we can certainly help you find a way to carve out the time to make some space to exercise every day. And I think ultimately that's what this is all about. It's less about completing your Ironman and it's more about building the habit of doing some exercise every day so you make a step change in your life. Now, the Ironman will possibly be the outcome of this, but the real outcome will be a massive increase of fitness, a massive effect on your health and longevity of your life. So there's just positive things coming your way. I mentioned a little bit earlier having worked with athletes who have never done anything like this before. We've recently published an episode about one of our athletes called Allan. He did Ironman Wales in September of 2024. And he did it because he went to visit Tenby on the weekend when it was happening, had no idea it was happening. He saw it and he just said, that looks amazing. He stood out for hours cheering people on the marathon. He had no background in swimming, biking or running. He didn't own a bike at the time. He couldn't swim a length of the swimming pool, but he was so inspired by it. He entered the event first and then he contacted us and said, I've entered this event. I watched it this weekend. I want you guys to coach me. And my honest reaction at first was, wow, this is a big ask. I'm never going to say to somebody, no, you can't do this. But I was thinking, that's a big ask to go from no background at all, not owning a bike, not being able to swim at all. But Allan was as good as his word. He committed to the training process. He was all in from day one. And the training didn't take over his life, but every day he carved out some time for training. And it started out at being 10 to 15 minutes a day to 20 minutes to 30 minutes to 45 to an hour. Across a period of 6 months, he gradually got better. He started doing some training on the bike, on a gym bike in a gym when he didn't own a bike. He started by aiming to swim one length of the swimming pool, which he managed to complete. He started by going out for walks and then introduced some jogging breaks into the walks and then gradually extended the period of jogging. And across the 12 months we worked with Allan, he got to the point where he finished Ironman Wales. He got his finisher's medal. He was absolutely delighted. We've just republished this. I put a link in the show notes. I just think it's such an inspirational story. If Allan can do it, there's every reason that a large number of you out there who are sitting and listening to this and are wondering if they can do it as well. The question is really, are you motivated and will you make the time to do it? And if the answer to those is yes, you can go out there and complete your Ironman in a year's time. So, fingers crossed. We really want to break the myth that Ironman is for elite athletes. If you get a chance to go out to see Ironman Wales, Ironman Leeds, at 70.3 Swansea or Bolton, you will see, and I had this experience actually myself. My father was a very accomplished cyclist, and when I did my first triathlon, he came along. And he said to me afterwards, I really thought you were biting off more than you can chew. You weren't a very good swimmer, son. I wasn't a particularly good biker at the time as well either. But he went along and he said, I was really worried that you weren't even going to complete the swim. But having seen a lot of the athletes who were taking part, he came away from it really inspired and said, there were people there in a lot worse shape than me, and they were completing this 70.3. And he actually got himself back into cycling. Certainly he never took part in any triathlons, but it was the thing that inspired him to take up cycling again. And for another 10 years, between the ages of 60 and 70, he was a competitive time trialist again. So I really encourage you, if you get the chance to go and see an event, just go and see, because it will be so inspiring. So let's talk about breaking down the next 12 months into phases. The first phase, which is your new training habit phase, getting used to doing some activity every day. Then there's going to be a second phase, which is going to be starting to really try to build fitness. And we'll do that on the bike. That's the safest place to do that. We'll really focus in on sport-specific training. Going to be your Ironman specific build. And then the fourth phase is going to be the race peak build. And in terms of time, we're probably looking at about 3 months for your new triathlon habit, about 4 months for your bike power build phase, 3 months for the Ironman specific build as we get our sessions to be long enough that you can complete the session. And then about 4 to 6 weeks of a really specific race peak training phase. And then we'll go through and break all of these down. Okay, so phase one. If you are a complete beginner to all of this and you don't have a swim or a bike or a run background, this is going to be the most important phase for you. And it's all about building consistency of training and getting yourself used to moving your body initially 3 times a week and build to the point where you can do some exercise every day, 6 days a week. So if you're not doing anything at the moment, the place to start is to do something one day and then have a rest day, something the next day, then have a rest day, something a third day, and then have a rest day. So you're doing 3 sessions and you're having 4 rest days. And gradually we'll increase the number of sessions across time. And across that 3 months, we'll get you to the point where you can do something every day. And again, the sessions only need to be short because the key here is under no circumstances are you going to end up overly tired or sore or injured. That's your guiding principle. Make sure you don't give yourself an injury. Make sure you don't give yourself soreness. Make sure you stop a little bit short of what you think you can do so you're ready to train again. So we start with 3 times a week. We extend it to the point where by the end of this 3-month block, you're training 6 times a week. Now, what's this training going to look like? Initially, it's just going to be movement. It's going to be going out for a walk. It's going to be gently getting on an indoor bike in the gym and riding an indoor bike. It's going to be getting yourself into the swimming pool and see if you can swim a width of the pool, a length of the pool. Start to pick up the skills that you're going to need. And if you can get in the habit of doing this up to 6 times a week, then the rest of it is going to be easy. And I really do genuinely mean this. To go back to Allans' example, he couldn't swim a full length of front crawl when he started with us. So he would do half a length and then he would breaststroke to the end of the lane. And then he would come home and he would watch videos. He would learn about drills. He would learn about the catch and learn more about the stroke. All of that stuff can come. But to start with, just get yourself to the pool and go for a swim. Even if it's swimming breaststroke to start with, it's still enough to get you in the water. Even if you're running sessions of walks to start with, it's still enough to get you going. And the same with the gym bike. You don't need all the equipment to get started. Let's just get you moving. And across time, you will then find that you are training on the bike twice a week. You're doing some kind of walk or run twice a week, some kind of swim twice a week. And that way, you've got the triathlon training habit ready to go. That makes my job really, really easy. I can layer on top of this the more structured training. If you're already in the habit of doing this every day, we can build on top of this. So what else can you do? You can do a couch to 5K. You can gradually increase those short swims. You could do spin sessions at the gym. You could find your old mountain bike and go out for a gentle ride around on your old mountain bike. It doesn't have to be full-on serious Ironman training to start with. Start with what you can do, not with what you think a professional should be doing. So just do what you can, where you are, with what you got. My biggest tip here is that progress often isn't linear. It doesn't follow the pattern of 1 length, 2 lengths, 3 lengths. What will happen is something will click in your swimming and all of a sudden you'll be able to swim for 400 meters. Again, with Alan's example, he couldn't swim a full 400 meters when he started with us. We couldn't do our usual fitness test with him. And that's okay. We worked with him to the point where he could do a full 400 meters. And at that point, he watched his 400 meters times come down. But those first 3 months were just about getting in the water. So the progress often isn't linear. You might find you can't swim 100 meters yet until one day you can. It won't be as hard as you think it will in order to get better at this stuff. Focus on the habits to start with. So those first 3 months, by the end of it, you'll be running, you'll be biking, you'll be swimming 3 times a week, and you'll be ready for much more structured training. Okay, so that takes us into phase 2. Now, for those of you who, let's say, probably are entering a summer Ironman, 12 months away is obviously starting now in the summer. So you've got 3 months of summertime to do things outside. Great time of year to get started. And it means as we go into our bike fitness building phase, we'll be moving into the winter months. Even if it's not the winter time in terms of the weather, it's still a great time to focus in on doing structured bike training indoors. Now, I'm a massive, massive fan of training indoors on the bike, whether it's initially spin classes, eventually getting your own indoor trainer and your own bike and doing those training sessions indoors. The price of indoor trainers has come down massively these days. The accessibility to things like Zwift or Training Peaks Virtual, if you've not heard of those, look them up. Wonderful training programs that help you really dial in exactly the right intensity of training so you can make the most progress in the shortest amount of time. It's fantastic from a coaching point of view because all of these apps sync up with the apps that I use. I can see everyone's workout data and know exactly how hard they're working and help them refine that if it isn't quite right. But athletes get given the exact target in terms of pace or heart rate or power zones, so we can be absolutely sure that there's no wasted training time whatsoever. So in our fitness build phase over the winter, we'll focus on most of the hard fitness work being done as structured training indoors on the bike. We will have our run training mostly be easy running during this phase. So again, you're not going to be hammering yourself with the running. We'll gradually extend the length of those runs. A lot of them will have walk breaks in because what you'll find is we call it the bike run halo effect. The bike training has a massive effect on your run fitness, almost like the kind of the glow of a halo that you see above a saint. That's the way we think about it. The glow of your fitness from bike training extends over your running as well, and it really does have that effect. It doesn't seem to work the other way around. Runners don't seem to be able to transfer the fitness to the bike anywhere near as well as people who are fit on the bike can transfer that onto the run. So all of the bike training has a massive positive effect on your overall cardiovascular fitness. So that's awesome. And with our swimming during this phase, we're really going to focus on swim drills. We're really going to focus on improving your swim form before we look at improving your fitness. Our phrase for this is form before flow. If you can improve your swim form, if you can improve the way you grip the water, your swimming fitness will follow from that. And it's almost as though you'll get fit as a byproduct of practicing good technique rather than thinking you have to smash yourself in the pool every day. Our third phase is our Ironman specific builds training. And this is about 3 months long. We're gradually going to extend the length of our longest sessions in swimming, in biking, and in running. And we're going to build them to the point where they approach the actual distances you'll face on race day. So we'll build you to the point where you can comfortably swim 3.8 kilometers. We'll build you to the point you can bike 180 kilometers. We won't have you run a full marathon distance in training, but we'll build you to the point where you run about 3 hours in training. No matter how fast or slow you are, we won't go further than 3 hours. The reason for that is simply you just get too tired and you won't be able to train again the next week. But as we build the length of those sessions really sensibly, and most importantly, as we build in recovery into these training blocks, your fitness will increase step by step by step, and you'll be able to adjust to doing a little bit further the next week. Then we'll have you recover, and then you'll go back to being able to go a little bit further each week again. So in our Ironman specific build phase, we will extend the length of these longer sessions, and you'll find that what was unachievable last week is achievable this week. We'll also, during this phase, start to introduce some open water swims so that you get used to the idea of swimming in open water and probably swimming in a wetsuit. And then that brings us to the point where we are ready for our race peak training, if you like. That's what we refer to as the last 4 to 6 weeks before race day. You've got yourself to the point where you can swim 3.8K, you can bike 180K, you've run 3 hours. At this point, we start to put it all together. We'll have you do some runs off the bike, or brick runs as they're called. We'll have you do some big race simulation weekends where you're essentially going to do a shorter but condensed, broken version of an Ironman across a weekend. And eventually we'll bring them all together so that by race day weekend, you'll be ready to go and do all of this all in one day. It'll include the taper period where we reduce the amount of training in the lead up to race day. And the overall effect is you get really fit, we help you recover, and then on race day, you're feeling fresh, you're feeling fit, and you're ready to go to complete your Ironman. And really, once we've done all of this, and once we've worked on your ability to eat and drink and have the right amount of carbohydrate and electrolytes to keep your body balanced as you're moving, you will be ready to go for Ironman race day. Now, let's talk about some pitfalls, common mistakes that we want you to avoid. The first one is assuming that more is better. The really common thing I see with the type A personality, the really inspired person starting out on this, is they're going to try and do too much too soon, often end up really tired, and sometimes end up with a niggle or an injury. So don't assume more is better. Following the structured plan is really, really important. We don't want any massive jumps in volume from one week to the next. Keep things really sensible. Now, you heard me refer earlier to our bike run halo idea. You're not trying to be a fit swimmer and a fit cyclist and a fit runner. You're trying to be a fit Ironman triathlete. And these sessions will have positive effects on each other's. If you've got friends at a running club, you might hear them talking about going and doing speed work and hard run intervals. And you might think you need to do that. You don't for Ironman. There's a crossover fitness effect from your biking and your swimming onto your running. Actually, doing hard run intervals is one of the most dangerous things you can do as an Ironman triathlete, because it works on the wrong aspect of your fitness and it isn't going to help you for race day. And it puts you at a massive risk of injury and possibly illness as well. It's going to derail your training. First thing I do is put the recovery day in there, program in the rest and recovery sessions and fit the actual training around it. If an athlete's missed a session and we've got to decide what to do, the first thing I'll look at is, where do the recovery sessions fit in around this? Not how can we cram in another hard session? Often it's better to make sure you prioritize from recovery, especially if you're really tired from work or from family or from illness or from lots of travel. Often trying to add more training on top of that would just blow you apart. So recovery is the thing to be prioritized. You can piece this together yourself from information in books and on the internet. You can massively shortcut your roadmap to this by having wise counsel, by having someone who's going to give you a coaching plan and is going to tell you exactly what to do and give you advice on how to change things when real life comes up and gets in the way. So you don't need to be super fit right now in order to get started. If you've got a dream of doing an Ironman, I encourage you, just get yourself out there and get started. Go for a walk around the block. Get yourself down to the gym and get on a gym bike for 10 minutes tonight. Get in the pool and swim a length of breaststroke. Start to turn yourself into someone who's done a swim and a bike and a run this week. And that's the first step in. All of those people, those men and women you see doing a 70.3 or an Ironman, they all had to start somewhere as well. And a lot of them started from the same point that you're at. It's just, it doesn't feel like that to you right now. So if you think you can do it, if you want to give this a go and you just have the willingness to try, you absolutely can. I'd love to hear your stories about this in the comments. If you're someone who's got this kind of background and you've either tried an Ironman or you've completed an Ironman, please leave a comment down below. It'll really help out people who are not sure if they've got the bravery to get started up. You will become a different person as part of this process. You will find that within you, if you're the person who's finding you can't get started on things like this usually, just by getting started, you'll have made a change. In 12 months from today, you could be an Ironman.